called 16 Days, 15 Planes, about myself and my best friend traveling. And after doing those vlogs, I decided I kind of want to keep these things going. So I thought that maybe I should introduce myself to you guys. My name's Jordan. I'm 23 years old and I'm from Canada. I just graduated in May with a double major in biology and chemistry. And right now for a job, what I do is I basically run my own business. I go to daycares and I teach their preschool children and their after school children about science. So we do different topics in science every week. And it's really fun. I love it. I adore working with children. They're the most fascinating things on this planet. And I love science, so it's just really the best of both worlds for me. Someday I want to be a doctor. When I was like 9 years old, I knew that I wanted to be a doctor, and I told myself that I wanted to be a pediatrician because my mom owns daycare, so I grew up working with children and around those environments my whole entire life. I started volunteering for her daycares when I was like 12 years old, and I've worked in summer camps, I've worked in other daycares, I've worked in day camps, I've worked in science centers for children. I've pretty much done any job regarding children that you can think of. And then in grade 12, I figured out that brains were really cool. I actually went on to do a minor in neurosciences. So then I added that on to my dream job. So I was like, pediatric neurology, that sounds awesome. But then I watched a lot of Grey's Anatomy, and people think that this is really funny because, well, I mean, why would you dictate your career choice after a show? But I'm a really hands-on person, and I like to solve a lot of puzzles. I'm a big problem solver, so it kind of made sense with it too. So right now, I want to be a pediatric neurosurgeon. I actually was going to apply to med school right out of my undergrad, but I decided that I wasn't finished my youth yet. So the problem with going straight to med school is that once you do medicine and you graduate, you just kind of become a doctor, and that's your career for life, which fine. I know I want to get there someday, but right now I know that I'm not done traveling, and I know that I still have a life that I want to live before that. So I actually decided to do a master's program instead. I'm going to start that in September, and I'm really excited. It's in biogeochemistry. So basically, I'm testing chemicals and how they affect the biological ecosystems and the geology. So I'm really excited for that. My current hobbies are, well, I grew up as a dancer. I was actually a ballerina, but then I went on to do some hip hop and some contemporary. I model now, which I love, and I'll explain that in a bit. Other than that, I guess I do some yoga, and I really love food. Those are kind of my things that I love to go to like relieve stress or to express myself. Those are my go-tos. My biggest fear would probably be drowning or being kidnapped and murdered or tortured. Just like, I guess, like that claustrophobic feeling of like knowing that something bad is happening and not being able to control it. I can't stand that. Yeah, that one would be it. My biggest pet peeve is probably when people say they're gonna do something and they don't do it. So I call them sayers, and then I call like people like me doers. So I think that when I say something, it means something. Like, that's my word. And I know, like, of course there are some things that don't work out. Like, I get that. But a lot of people say like, oh, I'm gonna travel next year, or I'll go to school when I'm finished this. But they never end up doing it. And that bothers me so much, because you can say things all you want, but the people who put them into play, people who put them into practice, they get shit done. They're the ones that you know are gonna pursue their dreams. They're gonna go after what they want. They know what they want and they do it. Basically, I started this vlog because I used to struggle with my mental health, and I decided that I had had enough and that I needed to remove myself from my environment in order to get better. So I actually packed my bags and I left Canada for like a year and a half. And my first stop was LA. So I went to LA and I danced there for 4 months at a place called Millennium Dance Complex. It was wonderful, and it was great for me because, one, it took me out of my environment. Two, I actually found Buddhism and meditation there. I know people like get weird when people talk about Buddhism and meditation, but it actually has helped me tremendous amounts with my mental health. Not only that, but to help me pursue the things that I want in my life. The type of Buddhism that I practice, it's called SGI. It's not a religion per se. We actually call it a practice instead. So it's kind of like a way of life. But then it also boosted my self-confidence because I'm from this really small town and dance opportunities like this don't exist in my town really. When I went there, I didn't expect to get anything or to be good. I actually expected myself to be really bad, and that was the case for the first little while. But by the end of my stay, I was making videos and I assisted Tasha Hamilton's contemporary class, which was amazing for me. Like, I'm just this little girl from a small town. That really boosted my self-confidence and kind of made me more sure of who I was and what my goals were and how to accomplish those goals, because I worked so hard when I went there. I didn't even care if I did make a video or if I taught somebody's class. I didn't care about that. I just wanted to improve myself, and I definitely did that. So I felt really good about that. After LA, I moved to Amsterdam. I did a study abroad program and I did 6 months in Amsterdam and then I did 6 months in Wales. And when I moved to Amsterdam, I met a boy and that was great. And when I moved to Wales, we decided that instead of seeing each other every weekend by just traveling back and forth, we would just meet in a different country instead every weekend, and that's what we did. So I started traveling a lot, and that also helped with my mental health. So it was great, and I was taking lots of photos there. And then when I got back home, I still felt like there were some things I needed to work on. I never reverted back to the person I was before I left, but there were still things that needed progress, and one of those was my self-confidence. This boy from Amsterdam was telling me that I should start modeling to boost my self-confidence, and I told my psychiatrist that, and he was like, absolutely, sounds like such a great way to accomplish that. So I got in front of the camera and I started modeling, and that was so much fun for me. At first, of course, I felt super awkward and shy in front of a camera. I mean, it's literally like you and one other person, and this person is like trying to make you look perfect, and you don't feel perfect when when your self-confidence is low. So it was difficult at first, but as I kept with it and stuck with it, I did gain some self-confidence in myself, and it was awesome. Then I had all these photos and I didn't know what to do with them, and I kept traveling because traveling is literally my bliss. I then started kind of modeling in foreign countries because I wanted the memories of these places. I wanted to know where I was, and I wanted to know that I was there, that it wasn't just a photo from Google. Then I was like, well, wait, these photos just prove that I was there, but a video actually shows the memories that existed in those places. So I started vlogging. On my last trip, I went to Europe. I did Bosnia, Romania, Greece, and Italy. I went with my best friend and we decided to vlog the whole thing. So that's kind of how I got this started. I've actually been to 37 countries now. So I just thought that I had a lot of experience traveling, especially in Europe, but I've also been to other continents as well. So I just thought I had a lot of knowledge to share, and people kept asking me questions about how I afforded all of this and where was safe and what was my favorite places. And I just thought that the best platform to talk about all of this and to share this with as many people as possible was on YouTube. A lot of people asked me when I first started vlogging, like, oh, do you want to be famous? Like, are you going to be a YouTuber? And I was like, no, like, I don't want to be famous. I just want to help people, and I just want to share my ideas, and hopefully you like them. So that's kind of my story.